Oh yes, even when the weather's a little cloudy, there's nothing quite like waking up on Route 66. The Mother Road, the main street of America. And today I'm in one of my favorite towns on the route, Tucumcari. I wasn't originally going to come out this far. I was going to go to Roswell, then maybe the Billy the Kid stuff. But once I got to Billy the Kid's grave and realized it was only an hour and a half away from Tucumcari, I thought, oh, what a sweet stop that would be, huh? First of all, bonus visit to my favorite Route 66 town in New Mexico, where we get to soak in a little bit of that old Mother Road charm and visit this. Oh, he's still here. It's the Hell. That thing is so crazy. Look, it's made out of real bones, probably cow and not actually elk. But he's the overlord of all. He sees the hell. This thing was moving around town for a while, but I'm glad to see he's still in front of the coziest cone in town, the TP Curios. Look at this metal cactus here. I love that. Of course, I also love buildings that are shaped like things. So Tucumcari is my jam. Because not only do they have the famous TP Curios, they've also got a pretty amazingly themed Mexican restaurant building, the world famous La Cita. Look at the size of that sombrero. Never get tired of looking at that. Especially Mauricio, the taco kid, the mascot above the door. Don't worry, kids, he's not smoking. That's just a taquito. Yeah. Wow, what a great sign, too, huh? Actually, one of the best parts about Tucumcari is that it's full of epic old hand-painted and neon signs from Route 66's heyday. Some of them have been lovingly restored along with the businesses that they're alongside of. Others have been repurposed for different uses. I highly doubt that this place, for example, started out as a drive-in tattoo. Well, that would be pretty handy right now because I really want to get a Route 66 tattoo. Definitely the most famous sign in all of Tucumcari, though, is this. Ah, the old blue swallow. One of the absolute jewels of Route 66, especially at night when this thing is lit up. Of course, some of you guys remember when we stayed here. And if you recall, we left somebody behind. So every time I come back to the blue swallow, I've got to check and see if our little buddy's still here. Right around the back of the office. He's still here. Oh, Billy the Burro. I put him here over a year ago, and he's still there. That's funny. There was actually some pretty cloudy, pretty rainy, pretty lightning-y weather last time when I stayed at the Blue Swallow Motel. I guess I just bring this weather with me, huh? I bring rain to the desert. Anyway, so far everything we've looked at is kind of familiar territory. It's sort of the most famous stuff right off the main drag, right off Old 66. I have filmed a lot of this stuff. I filmed a lot of things in this town, but there's one thing that's always eluded me. The Tucumcari Historical Museum. It seems like every time I'm in town, this place is closed. But not today. Today is my day. Call it a hunch, but I'm pretty sure this is going to end up being just my kind of place. Wow, would you look at the size of this building? Ooh, I like this place already. Whoa. Oh, this place is gigantic. Apparently, it used to be a school. And you can still do a lot of learning in here. Wow, look at that. I don't know who Bob Brady is, but I do recognize this guy. Hello there, Billy. Wow, look at all this old ranching equipment. Check out these old branding irons. Ooh, S for scarred. As you can imagine, all of this area of New Mexico has a lot of ranching history. These guys remember. There's also a lot of local railroad history. Before Route 66, Tucumcari was a railroad town.
I used to work for the railroad, but they wouldn't let me drive the train because I'm all thumbs.
Whoa, look at this old Boy Scout uniform. Looks like we had a big achiever here. Ooh, shouldn't these be locked up somewhere? Oh, never mind. They got them secured. Safety first, that's what I always say. Okay, that's just about it for upstairs. Let's head downstairs now. Ooh, a lot of stuff downstairs. I see some musical instruments. Dang, look at this harp right here. If I ever get to heaven, I feel like this is what my harp's gonna look like. Whoa, check out this phone booth over here. Operator, get me the president. No, of Nabisco. Oh, I love old historic photos like that, man. Who couldn't love that? One of the craziest things to me about the Old West was how dapper people dressed. I mean, it gets really hot out here. Can you imagine wearing this in the summer? How dapper. Whoa, look at these guns right here. I've never, ever seen guns like that. Ooh, they got an amazing postcard collection in here. But the weird thing is, not many of them, if any of them, are of Tucumcari. But no good local historical museum would be complete without some kitchen equipment, without some quilts, huh? Some granny stuff. But I think my favorite part about museums like this are the photos of locals. Wait a minute. What the heck is going on here? Cannibal? What in the world? Well, if the pictures of the guy being hung and the pictures of the cannibal guy are upstairs, kinda worried about what we're gonna find in the basement. I was told by the gal upstairs that this place started out as a school, but at one time it was also used as a hospital, and they performed surgeries down here in this basement. People underwent traumatic surgery in here. That's not scary. Honestly, It's actually pretty cozy down here. Looks like you could just take a rest in Archie Bunker's chair, make a couple of phone calls, watch TV, listen to the radio. Pretty darn cool. Look at all these old buildings recreated by some local artist whose name isn't on display here. I love handmade stuff like this. Hey, look at that guy upstairs in the hotel. Wait a minute. We shouldn't be looking through the windows. Otherwise, we'd be peeping Toms. Kinda mangled that joke. Whoa, look, here's some old school desks. I wonder if they were used in this building. I love all the old general store type products and displays they have down here. Who doesn't love bean soup? I've been looking for some Mikado pencils. People bought a lot of tobacco products in them days. Wow, look at that. This place isn't open anymore. Alright, I think I'd like to get out of the basement now. And give this lady her privacy. I've been down here for like 10 minutes and she hasn't said one word. It's no wonder this place didn't make it as a school. What kind of ABCs were they teaching these kids? Alright, it's way too nice of a day outside to be trapped in school or in a basement. So let's have a look at the displays outside. Whoa, they got a pretty big spread in this backyard. Look at this back in the back corner. It's the old playground. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this still works. Gotta be careful though. It is a little splintery. Whoa, look at this old saw. See? See, saw? These are the jokes, kids. Much like other museums out in the Old West, they got a lot of old farming equipment and a bunny running around out here. But unlike most small-town historical museums, they also have this. It's a full-on real fighter jet. Dang, they must have some bad neighbors if they need to point their fighter jet and their cannon this way. According to the young lady inside the museum, not only was this place a school and then a hospital, at one point during World War II, and this jet, by the way, comes from much later than World War II, she said they trained pilots here. These days, they're just training ants. Whoa! Look at that. That is something you do not see every day. A fighter jet in a neighborhood. Well, okay, fair enough. I guess those people see it every day. Wow, this thing is gargantuan. Ooh, looks like it might have had a little fender bender. And look down this nose here. Oh, boy. All right, open up and say, ah. Wow. I mean, sometimes you see jets like this at local airports, stuff like that. But very rarely are they displayed like this. This is cool. It just makes it that much cooler that it's so random right here. Just across the road from these people's little church, little houses, and you can look right up inside of it. Oh. This reminds me of my colonoscopy. Oh, check it out. Just behind the jet, they've got the big red barn. Whoa, a lot of stuff in this old barn, including this old windmill. I love places like this because they've always got a lot of old wagons and old buggies. Where do they find all of them, you know? Ooh, this museum wants us to get off the wagon. Here's something I don't understand, but I'm immensely entertained by it anyways. Ooh, we got some old typewriters and word processors over here. A sign and some artifacts from the old Crescent Creamery from town. Been a long time since I've been to an old-fashioned creamery. Tons and tons of saddles and wagon wheels and harnesses. A wicker bandito that if it moved, I would scream forever. Whoa. But as creepy as that guy is, he is not quite as creepy as this. Look at that. Do you know what that is over there? That's an actual iron lung. Well, thanks to vaccines, we no longer get polio, but back in the day, it was a very common disease that could partially paralyze you. And some people had to be placed in these machines to assist them with their breathing. Seems very old-fashioned, very crazy now. But in the grand scheme of things, this was not that long ago. As a matter of fact, I think there's still at least one guy in the United States that's inside of an iron lung to this day. It is mind-blowing that only 60 years ago or so, you know, within many of our living grandparents' lifetimes, that was more or less a common thing to find in hospitals and places like that. Man. That really weirds me out, mostly because of the mannequin head inside. We've come a long way, gang. Wow, this place is awesome, and it's filled with so much unusual stuff. Hey! I love the little small-town historical museums because they have such a DIY feel, and plus, as much as sometimes they can have similar items like this old fire hose cart here, there's also always a ton of really unique items and weird things I've never seen before. Ooh, not only do they have the big red barn over there, they also have the little red firehouse. And they seem to be very protective of its contents. Let's check this out. Ooh, a fire hydrant. That's always good. Fireman's uniform, yes. A firefighting coyote. Sweet hose. And biggest and best of all, this old fire truck. Kind of reminds me of the one at Disneyland. Although the one at Disneyland was built by Bob Gurr and it's just sort of like a recreation. This right here is the real deal. Maybe that's why they have to protect it with so much chain link. All right, hang on, guys. I really need to go to the bathroom. This place is pretty old school, so they got the old school outhouse to use if you need to go to the... What's the doggone problem? Can't you read? It says not for public use. Right on the outside, it says Wild Bill's outhouse. I don't know what you're thinking. I'm sorry, Mr. Wild Bill, sir. My name's not Wild Bill. My name's Calm Pete. What?
Stop asking me questions
Oh,
and get
sir,
the
just
heck
please
out
close
of
the
here.
door. All right, well, I guess we're gonna have to hold it for a minute, but that's fine. We'll amuse ourselves by looking at this.
Would you look at the size of that caboose?
Train cars seem so ordinary, but it's not really that often that I get close up to them, and every time I do, I'm like, dang, these things are big. Ooh, look at this. I'm pretty sure we can climb aboard. As a kid, anytime there was anywhere with any kind of train car that you could climb up inside, I got so excited. And you know what? Nothing's changed. A lot of places have old train cars out on display, but you'd be surprised how many won't open themselves up to exploration. Oh yeah, this is definitely looking a little caboose-ish. Just a little bit later of a model than most of the cabooses I think of, you know, stereotypically. Look at this is where the train men could take their naps, make some meals. Maybe, just maybe, make some friends. And a little known fact about cabooses, this is where they fire the torpedoes from. Who hasn't fired a few torpedoes from their caboose, huh? Oh, what's this? A little paper cup dispenser for the old water cooler? Got some sweet train man fashions. Plenty of cabinet space in here. Pretty darn cool. Especially because I have this whole caboose to myself. My caboose is on the loose. No, all right, we've had enough of that. That's just silly. Wow, I'm so happy that I actually made it out here this time. It was always so frustrating being on the other side of that barbed wire fence there. Just glad I got to climb the caboose, visit Wild Bill over here, see an absolutely freaky amount of giant ants everywhere. Oh yeah, this is one cool place. Oh, I'll definitely talk about this to my neighbors. Just one last little building here. Ooh, this one's got an old roulette table that was actually used here. Ah, well, apparently some gambling used to go on, huh? Whoa, look at this old Wurlitzer jukebox. Have you ever seen a crazy glass hand-painted jukebox like this before? Look at the coin intakes. You could play some groovy music on there, huh? See, get it? Because the groove's in a record and it goes around, you could play it. It's groovy. Never mind. Oh, look, diversity. Safe to say there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Ooh, old cowboy spurs. A stirrup. A painting of Herman Munkus. I have no idea who that is. But apparently he was a pretty popular guy around here. Wow, a lot of stuff. Some swords in this case over here because of the old gladiator fights they used to have in town, you know. Just kidding, you guys. They did have some golf tournaments, though. And apparently some pretty wild games of chuck-a-luck. Whoa, look at this old slot machine, huh? That is pretty cool. Whoa, they should get this thing cranking again, huh? All right, guys, I think that's about it for the Historical Museum today, huh, Mr. Bird? We're gonna give ourselves the boot
And head on out of here.
Ah, that felt so good to finally check that off my to-do list. But you know, there's even more Tucumcari history for us to check out today. Tucumcari is a lot bigger than you would think just based off what you see from Route 66. Turns out there's a pretty sizable downtown back here. Many of the old buildings are missing now, but look at these. Some of them remain. Check out the Odeon. This place was built in 1937, and not only is it still here, apparently it's still showing movies. Although only on certain days. Wow, how cool is that? I wish I could go see a movie in there.
Maybe this movie, huh?
Wow, and check out this old appliance store next door. Not only is the building old, but I love the hand-painted look of everything on the outside. It actually feels like I stepped back in time. Oh, hi, doggy. There's a lot of cool buildings in this old downtown, and this is just the beginning. But before we head downtown, I forgot to show you the best part. Look at this around the side of the building. There's a mural here that's supposed to be anti-drug and alcohol abuse, which is always good. But when you're just driving by and only get a quick look, it really looks like a billboard about shark attacks.
No child is safe.
Gotta watch out for those New Mexico desert sharks, kids. Save our youth. There's actually a lot of really amazing murals in this town. Some of them portray the scenes of the desert. Howdy, cowboy. Others portray the local lakes.
Now remember, Jimmy, you better pull him in or else we're not gonna eat tonight.
Others look like they might be J. Edgar Hoover. What do you guys think? Maybe? Huh? All right, now, like I said, all that was just a side street. This right here, this is Main Street. And check it out, they had another huge old theater down here. Man, with the minuscule amount of people walking around downtown Tucumcari today, it's hard to believe that they needed 2 theaters. Today, there's still a few places operating down here, like the El Pueblito Cafe. Oh, I don't want to eat here now. Look how happy he is. I can't kill him. Anyway, for the most part, though, it's very quiet down here. A couple of junk shops and antique shops. Here you have Tony's Treasures. And how about this place, huh? This is pretty darn cool down here. It's almost like you went to a combination of Frontier Frontier Land, Main Street USA,
And maybe a little bit of Cars Land.
but you just have the whole place to yourself. Some of these buildings are in worse shape than others, so there's a little bit of a ghost town element to it also. Something that gets a little help from the fact that a lot of buildings down here have actually burned down. Here you just have these archways left of what I believe was once a pretty large hotel. Then up here you've got this really cool, really interesting looking building, which had to be fenced off because it's kind of falling down.
Just a little bit, though.
Wow, I love exploring places like this, and because Route 66 is so close by, they're pretty used to people like me with cameras coming and gawking at all the buildings. Whoa, look at this. This looks a lot like that Five and Dime we saw down in Bisbee, huh? Pretty weird. There's a furniture store over there, couple of businesses. But for the most part, very ghost towny. Now, all of this is here, and in fact, the town is here, because at the end of all of this stuff
Are the railroad tracks.
Tucumcari founded and was for a long time a big railroad town. And unlike a lot of other Route 66 towns that were also railroad towns, Tucumcari still got their epic 1926 train depot. Newly refurbished, by the way. Nobody's waited for the trains on this platform for a long time, but nowadays there's reason to come back here because they've recently put a railroad museum in here. Although sadly it's closed today, apparently. What a beautiful town. I mean, it's like a photographer's dream here, much less an explorer
Or adventurers like us.
not to mention music fans. Now, on previous visits, I've showed you guys all the crazy Route 66 stuff. I've showed you the dinosaur museum here. There's a lot of reasons to visit Tucumcari. Just make sure you Tucumcari your camera with you,
Because it seems like there's something around every corner.
seriously, any fan of old Americana or Route 66 or just neon sign lovers would love Tucumcari. Not to mention things to look at if you're a fan of abandoned places.
At one time, Tucumcari boasted of having 2,000 hotel rooms.
and 30 gas stations. Well, as you can see now,
Those numbers have been significantly reduced.
I was out here last night with my friend from town looking at the old Apache motel sign.
Just talking about how incredibly difficult and incredibly expensive it is
to restore just the signs, much less some of these buildings. Nevertheless, a few hardy businessmen are still here in town restoring places one by one.
And you've got a lot of cute mom and pop places to eat.
really nice places to stay, like the Roadrunner over there.
And as you can imagine, fixing up places like that is a labor of love.
Not exactly a quick return on investment when you're restoring places like this.
Because as popular as Route 66 can be at times,
Let's face it, a lot of places
I've seen better days.
A lot of places on the outskirts of this town have actually been mysteriously burned down. Happy to see that some of these places are still standing.
Although some are in definitely better shape than others.
Look at this one. Pool all filled in. Nature slowly reclaiming this parking lot. It would take a lot of money and even more determination to restore a place like this.
Yeah, these places are cool looking and there's the whole mystique of the Mother Road.
But I can't explain it. There's just something else that keeps drawing me back to places like Tucumcari.
There's something mystical, almost magical about Route 66 towns like this.
Something very special about the American dream being just within reach and sometimes slipping through your fingers.
The golden age that never really was.
But maybe, just maybe, still could be.
All right, gang, the shadows are getting long.
Sunset's coming down soon on Tucumcari.
And since I'm leaving town tomorrow, that means in just a few minutes we'll get one last look
At that epic blue swallow neon.
Thanks for sticking with me on another Tucumcari adventure. You guys have done your duty. You can go home and sleep well.